What is up, everyone? My name is Andrew. I'm bringing you another one-on-one with the Cinephile, and this is Halloween. 40 years after what was known as the babysitter murders, two investigative journalists, which were actually podcasters, decide to do a piece on the killer known as Michael Myers. Assuming these two individuals would have invoked a response out of the man, to no avail, I might add, they decide to focus their attention on the remaining survivor of the massacre, Laurie Strode. They got nowhere with her as well. Moving on from the two journalists, we are introduced to Laurie's daughter, as well as Laurie's granddaughter. Apparently, after 40 years, you become very reclusive in the likes of social gatherings and social activity. After 40 years of being locked up at Smith's Grove Penitentiary, he is finally being transferred to a maximum security prison, which of course goes to no avail. The bus crashes and he's able to escape. He moves on and is able to acquire a jumpsuit and his mask, and later he begins terrorizing the people of Haddonfield, Illinois once again. Upon hearing that Michael Myers breaks out of Smith's Grove and is en route to Haddonfield, Laurie decides to take her family into a safe place and she begins hunting him down personally. So the question is, after 40 years of preparation, will Laurie Strode finally be able to do what it takes to kill the boogeyman? I tried to keep that as short and sweet as possible because I don't want to give any of this movie away. I freaking loved this movie. It was amazing. You know, just when I thought that the slasher genre was dead, so to speak, this movie single-handedly revitalized it. It's funny how the original started it, and then this movie brought it back to its roots. This movie was great. First and foremost, I got to give it to John Carpenter for helping produce and score this movie. It felt like a John Carpenter movie, and it felt like a direct sequel to the original. It was very good. The cinematography and the style of filmmaking felt like it was an old movie, but it was new. It felt raw. It felt gritty, but it's a present day movie. It was so good. And the style of filmmaking that the director used, it almost felt like it was a John Carpenter movie. So this is clearly not just a fan-made version for Halloween. It was a tribute to John Carpenter's Halloween, even though it was a direct sequel. It's just that I'm trying not to say anything bad, but it's easy. I'm trying to think of something that I did not like about it. There are some characters that I wanted to see die that didn't die, and then there are some characters that I wish would have lived, but I understand why they died. It's really hard to describe without giving any of it away. My biggest concern about the movie is that they left a lot of questions unanswered. Like when he was shot 6 times at the end of the original and he disappeared, how were they able to track him down and put him back in Smith's Grove? Was he shot 6 times? And if he was, why didn't they bring that up in the movie? The bridge between one and this one was basically that one scene at the end of the first one. How did they catch him? You don't get an answer to that. Sorry. The other really weird question I have was, how did these podcasters get a hold of his mask? That would have been locked away in a police department somewhere. You would never see that. Another question, well, it's not a question, it's more of an observation. I feel Michael Myers would have no concept of time at Smith's Grove. I don't see there being a calendar on the wall or a clock. I don't see him using the computer, so I'm pretty sure he has no idea what day it is or even what year it is. So I would love for them to brought up the idea that some way he is able to know not only what day it is, but also what year it is, so that he knew to break out 40 years later. But they didn't even talk about that. They didn't talk about some force or some form of fate driving him to break out and come back to Haddonfield. That's just an observation. It kind of sort of bothered me, but it wasn't a big deal. It didn't make the movie bad. It would have made it a little bit better, though. It would have made it better in the way that fate is drawing him back to Haddonfield to come face to face with Laurie again. Because they spoke about fate in the original, and oddly enough, they brought it back in this one. Sort of an homage, but it's still fate. And I wish they would have brought that back up later on. Because they're eventually going to meet, and then the question, like I said before, does she have what it takes to kill him? Is she going to kill him? Can he be killed? Of course, I love Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. She's gone full-on Sarah Connor with this role, which of course she should be. After 40 years of preparation, she should be like Sarah Connor. Hardened, grizzled individual, probably a little bit senile, but she's in her 60s. So yeah, that makes sense for her to act the way she's acting. And it makes a lot of sense for her loved ones to care about her, to concern for her, but to just completely write it off as, Mom, you're just crazy. I don't care for that. But then again, I'm the audience. I know what's going to happen. They don't. So I'm trying to look at it from their perspective. If my grandmother thinks a serial killer is coming after her, I would take it seriously. But if I've been hearing the same thing for 40 years, I may have an issue with that. I don't really care for Judy Greer as an actor. She did okay in the movie. I'm not going to lie. She wasn't the worst character in the whole film. So props off to you, Judy Greer. The girl that played Allison, the granddaughter, I thought she did very well. I thought the sheriff did great. There's actually a Loomis knockoff character that you don't really see brought up in the trailer at all. He's basically there to be used as exposition for the law enforcement. That's it, really. I wasn't too impressed with the Loomis knockoff. It wasn't a memorable character, and there's no way you can replace someone like Donald Pleasance. It's just not possible. Those are really the most memorable ones. There were the granddaughter's friends, who were kind of sort of lackluster, in my opinion. The movie doesn't skimp on the gore. There's a lot of violent acts, but it's not there to be gratuitous. It's there to remind you that this man is a force of nature. He's not a human being. And I just thought that was awesome. Guys, I cannot praise this movie enough. If you haven't seen Halloween yet, go see it. Tell me what you thought in the comments below. My name is Andrew, and this has been another One-on-One with the Cinephile.